Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation. All you need is the will to do right, do right, do right.
This ain't working. Well, hang on. It's not broadcasting you guys, so hang on. Where is... apply. We'll try that. No, that's not working either. What the hell happened to my audio? It's a good thing nobody's watching. Yes, we are. You could probably hear me. It's showing that I'm going through just fine. Let's see here. Default. Oh, errors. Why can't I get this to work? It is a duct tape production for damn sure.
Just a wee bit, so...
Well, that's because I've got a speaker right next to my microphone. Okay, try it now.
And we're live.
That should work.
I am your host, Jay Fry, and with me, as usual, is Sean. How's it going, Sean?
Not good, as you could tell by that intro and my goofed up audio settings.
Oh. And Garrett, how's it going, Garrett?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm away from home, so I'm working on a mobile setup tonight.
Okay. And we're going to have more visitors than usual tonight because Facebook's down, and so is the Insta. So anybody who's out over there hanging out will might come here and view us instead. So that's their mistake. And this is Anecdotally, Facebook, Instagram, and more importantly, WhatsApp. We're down today. It wasn't a mistake. More importantly, WhatsApp. I have a Facebook. I have an Instagram. I don't have a WhatsApp.
Right, but no, it's not that I have WhatsApp, but I don't hardly ever use it because I'm American and that's what we do. But it is amazing how much Europe uses WhatsApp. It's like their main messaging service.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. So it may not have affected America very much because we use Twitter and texting and all that stuff. But in lieu of texting, because of the cell phone charges they incur in Europe and the way their framework is set up, they've all switched over to WhatsApp, and that's what they used for texting.
So it's using data instead of minutes?
Yep. Because it uses the Wi-Fi that everybody has over there as opposed to using the cellular service, so it doesn't cost them any money to send SMS texts through WhatsApp. So that's their texting workaround. And that hit them stupid hard.
Yeah. Because fuck you, government.
Yeah. And we know that cell phones won't get much bigger over in Europe because of the screen tax. The TV licensing tax are on screens like above 6 inches.
Oh, so the phones, you have to keep them small or else?
Well, 6 inches would be a pretty big phone. Mine's 5 inches, and my thumb barely reaches all the corners. So getting any bigger than that is going to be kind of stupid anyway.
True.
But I have a tablet, and that would be a screen charge in the UK.
Oh,
Because the first attempt to get past it is they started using their computers to watch TV on.
So they have to pay the licensing tax on their monitors?
Per screen.
Man, the BBC's got a racket going.
So if you are a gamer
and
with
you're
a dual screen setup, that's twice as much.
What's the game called? Not Dungeons and Dragons.
Minecraft?
No, not Minecraft. The other one.
Context?
It's the raid game.
Raid Shadow
World
Legends?
of Warcraft.
No, not Raid Shadow Legends.
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. Thank you. That one.
That's only one screen.
The one that kills everybody, metaphorically. They have no lives.
Oh, it's almost any game anymore. All these games are...
My brother makes like $1,000 a year playing World of Warcraft.
$1,000?
Yeah. He sells like $300 a pop for 5 fully fitted characters. So he plays the game, creates the characters, fully fits them out, gets mounts for them and everything, and sells them for like $300. It's his whole name and password thing. And I don't care for it or whatever. But he used to have to go to 60, and he'd make like $200, but now you can go to 80 or 100. So he charges more. And it's what he likes doing, so people buy it. I think it's retarded.
Well, yeah, and the
power
reason
to 'em.
I know I've watched a couple of people that played it, and they'll have 3 screens. One is the center one is what's going on in the world as they navigate. One is for their skill tree or whatever, and the other one's for inventory or something. Am I about right?
I've never watched it, but I know there's a lot of mods you can use, so there would probably be a screen for that.
Mm.
We had a voice mod and a couple of raid mods. So yeah, I would imagine that a screen could get pretty busy, and you'd want a couple others. He's got a 2 for screen. I can't imagine he'd use a 3 for screen.
I say I'm rolling 3 screens right now.
My computer's like a 10-year-old all-in-one. Because a certain new computer I have is password locked.
Oh my god.
For a screen on that fits in your hand, yes, 5 inches is big. We're not all size queens over here, Black Magic.
Let me see here. How big is mine? I'm gonna actually have to measure it.
I guess it didn't matter because you haven't started showing the screen yet. Okay.
No. What do we measure? Corner to corner?
Yeah.
I just did top to bottom.
No, corner to corner.
I got a 7-inch screen. But I have a note because I'm blind and I need it. And then I've got a new iPhone for work. It is just about as big as my note. Maybe an inch shorter. So that one's probably 6 inches.
Well, I don't have a tape measurement next to me, but when we go to off hours, I'll find out how corner to corner. All right, so what the hell was my first story, Garrick?
AOC?
No.
Cursed Cinema?
No.
Woman that got somebody went viral with like 90 comments or something like that. What was it?
No. We just talked about it right before we started.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't interested at the time.
The shooting?
No. God damn it. If we had any sort of resemblance of something that was...
You know, this is why...
Ape production. Come on, this is not new.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I guess, well, since we covered things, Newsweek says, women's Halloween decoration mocking anti-vaccination movement goes viral. It didn't. Now, after already being an article and up, has 2.6 million views. But it's just fucking gay.
They're trying they're trying to manufacture viral videos. Is that what you're?
Yeah, basically is what it is.
Sean, there was a shooting in Tucson.
Not
also black. That's not how he spells his name.
Correct. And yeah, I didn't even know about it. So let me Google that real quick while I'm looking. The Facebook thing is a much bigger deal, I'm sure.
I mean, viral
shooting.
Viral just means spread rapidly on the internet. So it to be on one site.
Barely heard about this on the way home from work, and I didn't even realize it was down in Tucson.
There was one in Pittsburgh.
I thought they were talking about the train derailment up in Montana still. I had no idea. Hang on. Bring myself up to speed on this real quick.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. There was a shooting in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania. A guy dressed in scrubs shot another guy dressed in scrubs, and then got into a shootout with police officers and shot two of them, one in the elbow and one in the nose. And he was shot by the cops. So we'll find out if that has anything to do with being fired or what. But on another note, I'm very disappointed in Dog the Bounty Hunter, who has yet to catch Brian Laundrie.
Hold on. I got to make this comment real quick, though. That poor cop. He's going to be just like Michael Jackson. Oof.
Well, I mean, it depends. Because if it's the side of the nose, that's one thing. But if he got shot head on in the nose, that's he's dead.
Well, then they wouldn't have commented that he got shot in the nose. They'd have commented he got shot dead. Right?
He got shot in the face.
That too. But that could also be misconstrued as he's not dead. He just got shot in the face.
So this little black kid, his first grade picture for school, he was wearing a mask because his mom said, "Don't you take this off." So then she saw that her son took his school picture in a mask, and they raised over $30,000 for his college fund, which would be something if the kid was white, but he's not. So he's getting a new car at 18. That's what's going to happen.
No, Black Magic. That's not the king of shootings. It's Chicago.
Yeah, but the city of brotherly love is
it's not far behind.
More kids have died in Chicago this year from shootings than in the entire country from COVID-19. Oregon man charged in fatal shooting of man who spoke to his girlfriend. So that's the thing.
Well, this is interesting. So apparently the DEA task force in Tucson boarded the train for a routine search for contraband, guns, drugs, etc., blah, blah, blah. But this train was traveling from Los Angeles to New Orleans, meaning that this person boarded the train in L.A. with said gun and or drugs. L.A. being notorious for having California gun laws.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, then.
Suspect and the cop both died.
Yeah, one DEA agent is dead. One is in critical condition. And the gunman was pronounced dead after barricading himself in the bathroom.
Amtrak is not having a good month.
They are not. That's interesting. Okay.
What was the suspect's name?
No, none given. But given it was going from LA to New Orleans and as a train, although trains are not a cheap way to travel.
They used to be, not so much anymore.
I was going to say,
they require government subsidies just to stay afloat.
Which is fine. That doesn't bother me. But what's interesting is I was just watching another YouTuber that I occasionally watches stuff, did one on his train travel because he took Amtrak from Chicago to LA and then back. And he kind of did a whole spiel about what it's like and all this stuff and how expensive it was, both in cost and in time, because it's not a fast way to travel. And it was as much or more than an airline ticket to do the same thing. So you have to be somewhat wealthy in both time and cash to take these trains, at least the ones that take several days. I mean, you could probably do a leg of it on the cheap, but to do the whole trip from point A to point B for these trains is expensive.
Why don't they just face facts that the point of trains nowadays is almost exclusively for freight? It's not a problem. Just deal with it.
Well, I mean, and it would be cheaper to just drive.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody takes a train anymore because it's cheaper to drive. Hell, if you had the choice, if you're a fucking hobo with no money, or little money, you'll take a bike and just bicycle your way to wherever you got to go instead of hopping on a train because you can't afford it.
Hobos didn't pay for the train rides, Garrick. That's the whole point.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. It's not, as I said, it's not cheap.
Right. Hobos, when they hop a train, literally hop a train. They're not hopping Amtrak. They're hopping freight trains to get from point A to point B. And they're just jumping onto the cargo stuff. What? Okay. 1 second, I gotta fix something for a child.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so right now, to fly from Detroit to Knoxville, it's $157. A bus from Detroit to Knoxville is $87, half the cost. But a drive from Detroit to Knoxville is 8.5 hours, and it's $51. These are all one ways. But a train is not on here. So, oh, here we go. It doesn't even go to Knoxville. It goes to Nashville, and it's $152, and I'm still 100 miles away from home.
Well, and that's kind of like here it is in Arizona. You cannot take Amtrak into or out of Phoenix. You have to go to Tucson or you have to go to Flagstaff to catch a train. And we are the fifth biggest city in the country, and you cannot take a train in or out of here.
Here we go. From Detroit to Knoxville, 5 ways. That's 3 ways. What the hell?
What the hell did you do to these things, kiddo?
What you working on, bud?
Well, he gummed up a pair of scissors.
I was trying to cut super glue.
God. Kind of looks like he was trying to cut minestrone soup. These things are gummed up.
Tell him to quit cutting Laffy Taffies.
I once was interested in because I was gonna I didn't want to fly down to Florida, so I was either gonna drive or take a bus, or I was like, what's the train? So the train had 2 bus stops involved. So I went from one place to another place. I don't even remember where it was, but then I had to get on a Greyhound bus, go 60 miles to get on another Amtrak, to go down, to get on another Greyhound bus, to go some miles, to get on another Amtrak.
Yep, and that's how it is here. If you try to book something out of Phoenix on Amtrak's site, it makes you take a bus either to Flagstaff or to Tucson.
Yeah, but I'm like, there's no Amtrak trains that go to Florida from Michigan?
What's this?
Hey, quiet.
I know there is. There's Cubans here.
Cubans are crafty people and can make almost any automobile work. Don't forget that. They've been using the same ones for 60 years.
Or any bathtub float. Nice math on that. You're off by a decade.
70 years.
But speaking of off by a decade, Tim Pool's like, America's been around for 250 years. I'm like, not quite, bud. 250 something? I'm like, no, a little less than that, but nice try.
Yeah, Black Magic and Maynard Crow. The government is where businesses go to make a deal with the devil. Never.
Where common sense goes to die.
Ugh. What in the hell?
Cost of everything's going up except common sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
What other things we got going on before I get into long ash Facebook spiel?
This is just fucked up. She didn't deserve to meet me. Daughter of Jane Roe from Landmark Abortion Case tells her story. I don't care.
Huh?
My guess is the mother from the Jane Doe is saying that her daughter has no right to meet her. Okay, some parents can be so evil.
Yep. But isn't Roe now anti-abortion?
I wouldn't be surprised if she lied about everything. I was unsurprised. I saw this a couple days ago. It was a Miami nurse was fired for mocking a newborn with birth defects, and she took pictures of it and posted it on Instagram.
What the hell?
I'm like, yeah, fire her from a cannon.
People are so goddamn self-absorbed.
But then you read the Instagram post. Oh, this baby be like, and I'm like, yeah, incidentally you were fired.
All right, here.
Thanks, Dad.
Yep.
Have fun with your show.
Thank you. Shut the door and take the dog with you.
Trying to get in on it, they're talking about Amanda Bynes steps out with her fiance in a rare sighting as fans bring attention to her conservatorship. Amanda Bynes is crazy. She needs a conservatorship. My local downtown had a Black Lives Matter demonstration. The only thing it was missing, black people.
Ooh, Maynard, the ultimate irony was if the government took over Antifa.
Well, they don't need to take it over. It's working for the current regime already.
No, read the comments.
What am I looking for?
Just the last two they posted.
Oh. Good argument, Black Magic. Yeah. Okay, then. We're solving the world problems here today. That's awesome.
There we go.
Governor extends the mask opt-out rule despite Tennessee leading the U.S. in COVID school closures.
Wait, he's forcing the schools closed, or is the teachers' unions forcing the schools closed?
No, he extends the mask opt-out rule. Governor Lee said parents are in charge of their kids' health, not the schools. They decide if their kid wears a mask or not.
It's kind of how it is here.
1.5 billion Facebook users, potential information hacked.
Luckily, I
Might have
don't.
been a-
Well, we'll get into the Facebook thing when you're ready.
Let's see what else we got. We got missing Knoxville man, maybe in Virginia. No one cares. Knoxville taco shop has hygiene contamination issue. No one cares. Who the fuck is going to go to a place called Soccer Taco?
That's so bad that I don't even have a snippy comment about it. That hurts the brain.
See, there's Sean Morgan says festival fans who booed Machine Gun Kelly were doing God's work. That idiot Tyler Ken, who argued that the legitimate rape, he died. So that's nice. A woman's body will shut down. It won't have a baby.
That guy's an idiot.
He was a fucking idiot. I got nothing here. Another slow week. We got the Facebook thing. We got the Dolph Lundgren, who's 59, is 64, with his 24-year-old girlfriend, fiance. Sorry, they're fiance now. That's nice. Tennessee state senator found guilty on 4 wire fraud charges. she was a big Black Lives Matter supporter. So big she stole from the organization.
Well, I mean, what else do you do with a grift?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really stealing if you're stealing from thieves to begin with?
Yeah, Robin Hood. What the fuck?
Like if I knock over a cartel drop house, take their money. Besides being galactically stupid because they are very retributive, however you say that, you think that's is that a crime?
I don't think any of that's a word.
It's probably not.
Retributionating? Retributive?
Retributive. I think that's probably the right way to say that.
I don't think that's a... Yes, retributive. Retribution is a... No, I don't think so. One day, you're going to get a package in the mail, and it's going to be your daughter's fingers. Because yours were sticky. But,
yeah. It's a galactically stupid idea, but it is theoretically possible.
No, I guess, because you have to file. You have to file charges. You have to be willing to file charges against your robber. So. So that's an interesting one. All right, never mind. Go on with your business, Sir Robin of Locksley.
Okay. Let's get into why the Facebook thing is a much, much bigger deal than anybody might think.
You keep saying that, but no one has any idea how big it is to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. But most people don't think it's a big deal, is my assumption.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
If you think it's small, it's medium. You're wrong.
Right.
If you think it's medium, it's large. You're wrong.
Okay. Did either of you watch the 60 Minutes whistleblower reveal?
No.
Okay. It's interesting because they're going after Facebook, they being the press, the government, whatever, for purposes. And when I put in the title line that, Facebook might be the last bastion of free speech, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek because we all know that they're not exactly the freest of speech. But when it comes to the big tech companies, of the big ones, Facebook is the least censorious directly. And so if you watch the 60 Minutes interview, the quote-unquote whistleblower there is complaining that she quit and took all the documents. And that's important because she took documents.
100,000 pages.
Of intellectual property that is exclusive to Facebook. And she has committed a crime by taking this stuff. Now, whether you agree that it's for a noble purpose or not, it's still a crime.
Depending.
Yeah, unless it's evidence of, covering up an actual fraud, then it wouldn't be a crime. But that I don't think has been charged. I don't think that she's ever said that.
If she went in and took pages from a library in Facebook, yes. But if it's all shit that's been sent to her, like minutes in a meeting and new policy ideas and emails within the system that are connected to her, then it's not.
If all of those things were done as her as an operator for Facebook, and she was apparently fairly high up, which means all of the things she received was in the pursuit of her job at Facebook. That is all Facebook's property. That belongs not at all to her.
Yes, but it's Facebook property she can pull up on her personal device.
Well, correct. Being an officer at Facebook is going to give her access to very sensitive documents, but that doesn't mean that they're not still Facebook's property and not hers to do with as she sees fit. So I'm kind of defending her in a little bit, and I don't want to because I think she's not a good faith actor. Number one, okay. You have to look at what she's complaining about and why she left. She left because after the election, Facebook took away changed the algorithm and took away the safety, quote unquote, protocols that were keeping misinformation and yada, yada, yada off the site. But I think we can all agree.
The Council on Foreign, not the Council on Foreign Relations, the task force. Damn, what was it called? Yeah, but they as soon as the right after the election, that task force they put together was dead.
Right. But so what they did is prior to the election, they went in to make the site more secure so that they could basically fortify the election. So what they did before the election was something that free speech activists were a little bit wary about because holy shit, yeah, nobody wants deliberate misinformation, but what you're doing is skewing and setting it so that you can't say anything dissenting, whether it be true or not, because that's going to get flagged by the activists doing the patrolling on Facebook. Either way, this chick left because they removed those restrictions after the fact. She thought they needed to be permanent because safety, quote unquote. Now, there's a lot that she's going to reveal that's going to be true. That is going to be one of those things like, yes, Facebook knows that it's detrimental. It knows it's addictive. It knows that it targets young girls, especially with stuff like Instagram, and has negative effects. And those negative effects are to not be sought out. So she's going to be half and half here, but you got to keep in mind why she left. It wasn't because she's wanting to change Facebook or thinks Facebook needs to change to fix all of these negative things. It's much more so that she wants a stricter control on what Facebook propagates. And right now, Facebook does in fact propagate more right-wing minority viewpoints than any of the other big tech sites does, with maybe the exception of YouTube, but we all know how YouTube is headed. You're more likely to find some countervailing evidence, information, news, sources, or whatever on Facebook than you will on Google, you will on YouTube, you will on Twitter, because those all are actively sought out and squashed. So Facebook is actually a more of a free speech entity than any of the other current existing big tech. So when you look at them going after Facebook in this manner, you have to keep that in mind so that you can recognize there's a lot of stuff that they're going to say that you'll agree with that is in fact true, that is Facebook being negative in the world. But they're not doing what they're doing to get that shut down so much as they are the actual information that gets passed on Facebook that gets people riled up, that gets people angry because it's true. Okay. That's what they're after.
But that doesn't make her a bad faith actor. She's just evil.
Right.
She's not acting in bad faith.
She's just an actor.
No. She believes 100% in what she's doing. She's just wrong. When you point out the emperor has no clothes, you're pointing out the emperor has no clothes. Doesn't matter if you're pro-clothing or pro-nudity. The emperor is not wearing clothes, so you call them out for it.
Right.
Doesn't matter which side of the coin you're on. That's what she's technically doing. Even though
to a point,
like, we need to be more authoritarian, guys.
Right. She is going down that road, and again, you've got to keep in mind her motivation for leaving and taking all these documents. Okay,
she's evil.
I'm not saying that she's. I don't even know that she's evil, because she's going to expose a lot of the bad things about Facebook that do need to be exposed if you're interested in truth. But I think that and this is why it's clever, because the overarching way that this is being portrayed is that she's a Facebook whistleblower and that Facebook is evil. Yes, Facebook has some evil aspects to it. It does nefarious shit. But she's doing this to bring it into line with what Google and Twitter are already doing. Because she wants more fortification.
A B in holding everybody back. I want you guys to have an A in holding back right-wing voices.
Exactly.
You guys need to do more.
Exactly. So
pointing out that you can slip through the gate does alert thieves you can slip through the gate, but really she wants to close the gate so that you can't. So she's evil, but she's not a bad faith actor. She's just wrong.
Right, and Facebook isn't solely good here either.
Facebook is not good at all.
Right. It is and it isn't, because, again, you can get these viewpoints out more effectively on Facebook than you can on the other big tech platforms. Also keep in mind, Facebook has 3.5 billion users. That is bigger than...
1.5 just had data leaks.
Right, but hang on to that, because this is where it's going to get even weirder. 3.5 billion is bigger than any other single country on this planet. It's bigger than China by itself. It's bigger than India by itself, and it's certainly bigger than
the top three together,
right,
which is India, China, and us.
Right. So Facebook has
3 billion people.
Right. Facebook has a ton of power. And this goes back to why I said WhatsApp is a bigger deal than Facebook itself or Instagram being down. While those are inconvenient, WhatsApp being down caused a hell of a lot of problems globally. And I'll get to that here in a second. But with Facebook being down today, they're going to say it's a technical glitch. And, we don't know why Facebook was down. Something must be wrong with the servers. Absolutely not. Facebook was down 100% intentionally by Facebook today as damage control from 60 Minutes, revealing who the whistleblower was and what she may have. Because I guarantee you, Facebook last night after the 60 Minutes thing immediately went into disaster recovery mode and tried to identify anything she could possibly have to cover their ass. Yeah. Because what they is lying in the background is she is going to testify tomorrow in front of Congress. So anything that she's going to bring up as evidence, Facebook spent today changing.
Yeah.
So that even if she presents all this evidence and it can be proved it was true at one point, Facebook is going to have the defense of saying it is not that way and being 100% right. But what that took today was them intentionally shutting everything down to do that security risk analysis and that security check and reconfiguring whatever algorithms they needed to reconfigure across all of their applications to bring up.
Mm-hmm. But there's some of us who've been using Facebook since they were in college. I'm one of those people. Facebook used to be, you could only access Facebook if you had a college account.
Right.
And I was at the University of Michigan, and I had a Facebook. And you got to talk to the 7 other friends of yours who were on Facebook at the University of Michigan. We kept in contact for about, I want to say, till 2006. And that's when it opened up a little bigger, and you could get a Facebook if you weren't a college student, which is nice because I graduated in 2004. And from there, it got bigger, but you didn't have the groups and things like that. You just had the friends and connected. It was MySpace at the time. You could even mess with the HTMLs. But if you're a regular user of Facebook, you or I, in general, we are not getting censored by Facebook. you have to be something like a someone of a platform, basically. Like these what are they called? The grifters.
Well, I think Facebook will show right-wing content, stuff that they don't necessarily agree with, but aren't going to censor outright. They may outright censor the platforms, but they're going to share your right-wing conspiracy QAnon nonsense with the people that you're associated with based on their algorithm that already like that sort of thing anyway, because they're Facebook, they need to make the money. They need the eyeballs to make the money.
That's crazy on my YouTube. Those little short videos are like pimple popper and like short little things like that. But if you scroll off of that onto anything else, mine's almost universally Jordan Peterson videos. Like little short snippets of Jordan Peterson. I was like, apparently you fixed your algorithm, YouTube, because you know what I like.
Right. So Facebook is in the business of showing people stuff that they already agree with. And they're going to get hammered for that because they're going to be told, everybody's going to be fed the narrative that feeds into the conspiracy nuts and blah, 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 blah. Which may or may not be true, but it's also true in the inverse, in that anybody who's into the left wing, nonsense only sees their shit too. And it could be said to go either way. All it does is help separate the populace from the center, pushing the left and the right. But
yeah,
they're going to be, the narrative that you're going to see that's going to be put in front of Congress, that's going to be broadcast on all other media, is it's only one way. Is that they only make the righties more likely to be, because that bolsters the narrative that it's right-wing terrorists that are the biggest threat in the world. It's not.
Well, shit, they just said that about school board meetings. Domestic terrorism and terroristic threats and white-wing supremacy from school board meetings. Thank you, Matt Walsh. But I'm glad to see that they're changing the algorithms, though. Like specifically on YouTube, I went to the Young Turks. I've Googled them twice, or YouTubed them twice. Once, it was the only place I could find the Cenk Turk Ben Shapiro debate.
Right.
In which I had to be in the Young Turks group for that because I couldn't find it anywhere else, and everyone's like, "Oh, Cenk destroyed him with his patented Google it."
Right.
And then the 2016, which was before the debate. There's this beautiful, and if you guys haven't, I suggest you watch it. There's a 26-minute video of the Young Turks starting out cocky and confident that Hillary Clinton was going to destroy Donald Trump, and just a staggering over the hours deflation, humiliation, and heartbreak as they watch her lose the election.
That leads to Anna Kasparian's epic, yeah, I'm better than you rant.
It was such a... it's 26 minutes. Young Turks breakdown over election. Oh, God. It's so beautiful. I am going to watch it again tonight. They just start out so smug and so cocky. And I'll tell you what. SNL was never as funny in my life as I watched it the night I found out Trump won. And I watched all the things I'd missed on SNL. It wasn't the stuff I normally watch, like Celebrity Jeopardy or anything like super viral. Like Celebrity Jeopardy is hilarious. Tom Hanks, who did a really shitty celebrity, Black Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Where he played a redneck, and they had like very similar things in common to regular black people. That was hilarious in its own right, but also kind of shitty. But yeah, neither one of you were right with the spelling. Congratulations. Poet says Sean's on fire tonight. Sean is in Sean Bean. And Black Magic changed it to Sean, S-H-O-N. I don't know. Sure enough.
Sure enough. Just changing my
Sure enough, apparently.
Sean Huff. There we go. That's my new name.
Sean F.
Sean Huff Mick Cron, apparently.
I was going to message you the other day about my phone says that your name's Macron, and I realized that I put it in there myself. I was like, oh yeah, that was hilarious. That's me. I did that. Why would I think that was?
That's probably the funniest thing that's come out of this entire show, bar none.
I was going to say it was hilarious. Then I was like, oh, that's I did that.
But before we get too far off topic, let me break down the New York Times article on Facebook being down today. Okay, it's
after that we're going to talk about authoritarianism.
Absolutely, we'll get there. But I got to break this down before we lose the topic. Okay, so. Yeah, San Francisco, Facebook and its family of apps, including Instagram and WhatsApp, were inaccessible for hours on Monday, taking out a vital communications platform used by billions and showcasing just how dependent the world has become on a company that is under intense scrutiny. So far, so good. Facebook apps, which include Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Oculus, began displaying error messages around 11:40 a.m. Eastern Time, users reported. Within minutes, Facebook had disappeared from the internet. The outage lasted over 5 hours before some apps slowly flickered back to life, though the company cautioned the services would take time to stabilize. Even so, the impact was far-reaching and severe. Facebook has built itself into a linchpin platform with messaging, live streaming, virtual reality, and many other digital services. In some countries like Myanmar and India, Facebook is synonymous with the internet. For more than 3.5 billion people around the world use Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp to communicate with friends and family, distribute political messaging, and expand their businesses through advertising and outreach. Okay, number one, they had to denote political messaging in here because they're the New York Times and that's what they care about. You could just say distribute messaging, and it doesn't matter what the topic is because people talk about literally everything on Facebook and their apps. Okay.
Isn't Myanmar Burma again?
Apparently not, if they're calling it Myanmar.
Fucking Google it.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, so Facebook is used to sign into many other apps and services, leading to unexpected domino effects, such as people not being able to log onto shopping websites or sign into their smart TVs, thermostats, and other internet-connected devices. That's a very critical statement, because a lot of people do tie logins to third, fourth, fifth-party services to their Facebook login.
About Myanmar, Burma. Myanmar is a Southeast Asian nation of more than 100 ethnic groups, bordering India, Bangladesh, China.
Hit the button! Hit the button!
Fucking Siri.
Turn the volume down.
But that's a very important point. A lot of people use Facebook logins to authorize other things. Something I didn't think about it because we don't use it very often, but I've got 2 Oculus headsets connected to a couple of computers. And
I was going to say, isn't that the VR?
Yeah. I've got a VR system for the boys so that they can play, and I've got one hooked up to myself, too, because occasionally I'll use it for whatever. But for the boys, who are on fall break, I might add, so they might have wanted to use that today, would not have been able to, because even to use a device I paid for and own, I have to authenticate to Facebook in order for it to work at all. Which is a problem I've had with nonsense for a while, but this affects so many more people so much more drastically than my first world problem bitching about my kids not being able to do VR shit that they didn't even want to do today. So whatever.
Well, this goes back to the problem that we were having whenever iPhones were getting jailbroken, and Apple was trying to claim, no, you can't jailbreak it because it's still our property. Well, no, we paid for the phone. Why can't we jailbreak it? Well, because you're using their software. Okay, well, what if we don't use your software? We're jailbreaking it. Are you going to, shut down our phones remotely or what? And kind of the same problem you're talking about now with having to have Facebook to use your VR headset, right?
Well, that's but that's what affects me the most, just based on what's happened today. And it didn't even really affect me, so I'm not even that upset about it. But the what's important here is that Facebook, being as big as they are, was able to cripple a significant portion of the world's economy and functionality by intentionally downing themselves today to fix their security issue. This is something that is going to become more and more prevalent as people use their services and rely on their services for this communication without some sort of backup or some sort of independent way of making these services and devices work outside of the control of a huge company. But I'm gonna continue on with the article here. Technology outages are not uncommon, but have so many apps go dark from the world's largest social media company at the same time was highly unusual. Not if you understand how they're all interconnected. Facebook going down is unusual. Facebook's last significant outage was in 2019 when a technical error affected its sites for 24 hours, in a reminder that a snafu can cripple even the most powerful internet companies. Okay, this was not a snafu. You have to understand that this is entirely damage control and is 100% intentional after the 60 Minutes leak last night and the testimony coming up tomorrow. Continuing, this time the cause of the outage remained unclear. Only if you're not curious. It's only unclear if you're not curious. You're going to be fed a lot of bullshit about, oh, the servers were down, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll baffle you with technobabble bullshit in order to obscure the fact that this is 100% intentional to change the algorithms and limit damage from what's happening tomorrow. Because they now know who it is that's going to testify.
To be fair, this was written by a journalist, so zero curiosity.
Exactly. Continuing, it was unlikely that a cyber attack was the culprit because a hack generally does not affect so many apps at once, said two members of Facebook's security team who spoke on the condition of anonymity. No, they may have wanted anonymity, but they were absolutely sent out to feed the press information so that they can distract from the fact that they absolutely brought this down intentionally. Security experts said that the problem most likely stemmed instead from a problem with Facebook's server computers, which were not letting people connect to its site like Instagram and WhatsApp. That can be true on a base level, but what it ignores is the intentionality of those servers being down on purpose. Continuing, Facebook apologized for the outage. We're sorry, the company said on Twitter after its app started becoming accessible again. Thank you for bearing with us. That you weren't giving the opportunity. You had to. There was no not bearing with it. Everybody uses Facebook. It is something that you will have to endure from any of these tech companies in perpetuity going forward in the future. The outage added
That's literally it. Enduring.
Right. The outage added to Facebook's mounting difficulties. For weeks, the company has been under fire related to whistleblower Francis Huygen, however you want to say it, a former Facebook product manager who amassed thousands of pages of internal research. Key point, thousands of pages of internal research that were stolen from Facebook to whistleblow that they now have fixed as much as they can security-wise by the outage today. She has since distributed the cache to news media, lawmakers, and regulators, revealing that Facebook knew of many harms that its services were causing, including Instagram made teenage girls feel worse about themselves. We know that. That has been stated for years. This is not new information. This is not revelatory information at all.
Yeah, every magazine makes teenager girls feel bad about themselves.
Right. But again, this is an avenue of attack to attack Facebook, who is letting people talk. Keep that in mind. The revelations have prompted an outcry among regulators, lawmakers, and the public. Ms. Haugen, who revealed her identity on Sunday online on 60 Minutes, is scheduled to testify on Tuesday in Congress about Facebook impacts on young users. This is the one angle that she's going to use, and she's going to be correct about. That's what's scary here. Everything that she's going to testify out, and in the limited scope that she's going to testify, will be true. But it is not the sum total of why they're attacking Facebook. Keep that in mind. Today's outage brought our reliance on Facebook and its properties like WhatsApp and Instagram into sharp relief, said Brooke Aaron Duffy, a professor of communications at Cornell University. The abruptness of today's outage highlights the staggering level of precarity and structures are increasingly digitally mediated work economy. You know, erudite, however you want to say it, ivory tower bullshit. When the outage began on Monday morning, Facebook and Instagram users quickly used Twitter to lament and poke fun at the inability to use the apps. The hashtag Facebook down also started trending. Memes about the incident proliferated. Because what else are you going to do when Facebook is down? You got to go to another program. But a real toll soon emerged because many people will rely on the apps to conduct their daily lives. And this is true. And this is why this is a bigger deal than Facebook just being down. With Facebook being down, we're losing thousands in sales, said Mark Donnelly, a startup founder in Ireland who runs Clothing, a fashion brand focused on mental health that uses Facebook and Instagram to reach its customers. It may not sound like a lot to others, but missing out on 4 or 5 hours of sales could be the difference between paying the electricity bill or rent for the month. True. Now, you should have diversified your business to rely on something other than just Facebook. But he's not incorrect. It is a major economic blow to lots of people worldwide. Samir Munrir, who owns a food delivery service in Delhi, said he was unable to reach clients or fulfill orders because he runs the business through his Facebook page and takes orders via WhatsApp. Again, this is how important WhatsApp is, not in America, but to the rest of the world. Everything is down. My whole business is down, he said. Douglas Vinay, a gamer in Cleveland who goes by Good Game Bro and who is paid by viewers and subscribers on Facebook Gaming, said it's hard when your primary platform for income for a lot of people goes down. He calls the situation "quote unquote" scary. Inside Facebook, workers are also scrambling because of their internal systems stop functioning. The company's global security team was notified of a system outage affecting all Facebook internal systems and tools, according to an internal memo sent to the employees shared with the New York Times. Those tools included security systems, an internal calendar, and scheduling tools. Because that's what gets affected when you're doing a security sweep when somebody has taken IP information. That's my commentary. Employees said they had trouble making calls from work-issued cell phones and receiving emails from people outside the company. Facebook's internal communications platform, Workplace, was also taken out, leaving many unable to do their jobs. Some tuned to other platforms to communicate, including LinkedIn and Zoom, as well as Discord. You've got Facebook employees relying on Discord to do their work. That is bizarre. Some Facebook employees who had returned to working to the office were also unable to enter buildings and conference rooms because their digital badges stopped working. Security engineers said they were hampered from assessing the outage because they could not get to the server areas. Because high-level security was double-checking and making sure that nobody was going to feed more information out to this person. This was an intentional outage. Facebook's Global Security Operations Center determined that the outage was a, quote, a high risk to the people, moderate risks to assets, and a high risk to reputation of Facebook, the company memo said. They still did it anyway. A small team of employees was soon dispatched to Facebook's Santa Clara, California data center to try a manual reset of the company's servers, according to an internal memo. Cover. That's what that is. Several Facebook workers called the outage the equivalent of a snow day, a sentiment that was publicly echoed by Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram. So they took a snow day because security was tightening everything down and changing algorithms.
Imagine if your electric company took a snow day.
Exactly. Imagine if the banks took a snow day and wouldn't process business transactions.
They do.
Right, but the computers in the background still do the processing. People can still interact in commerce even if the bank is on a holiday.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about an actual utility, which it's going to be hard to claim that they're not with all this. Clearly, Facebook is too big.
Clearly too big. In Facebook's early days, the site experienced occasional outages as millions of new users flocked to the network. Over the years, it spent billions of dollars to build out its infrastructure and services, spinning up the enormous data centers in sites like Prineville, Oregon, and Fort Worth. The company has also been trying to integrate the underlying technical infrastructure of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram for several years. Congratulations, they've succeeded. That's what you saw today. John Graham Cunning, a chief technology officer of Cloudflare, a web infrastructure company, said that the interview on that Monday's problem was most likely a misconfiguration of Facebook's servers. It wasn't a misconfiguration. They fixed the configuration they had and replaced it with something new once they knew who the leaker was, so that they could make sure that come tomorrow, whatever testimony she's going to give is not going to be true in the present. Computers convert websites such as Facebook.com to a numeric internet protocol addresses through a system that is likened to a phone's address book. Facebook's issue was the equivalent of removing a people's phone number from under the names in their address book, making it impossible to call them, he said. That's very oversimplified for what's going on. Because Cloudflare directs traffic to Facebook, it became aware of the outage early on and saw the incident's scope. It was as if Facebook just said, "Goodbye, we're leaving now," Mr. Graham Cummings said. That's absolutely true because they did it intentionally. But that concludes that article. But you're going to have to see what the story that they're putting forward is versus what is most likely happening behind the scenes that they're not reporting on, because they have no curiosity, because they need it to fit a narrative that they've been selling for years. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's all. Why did you die of AIDS, Jenny?
So, how do you think they're going to break up Facebook?
I don't think they are.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you even think it's possible?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, a lot of the things that they have were individual companies that were bought up. I mean, like you said, they have Instagram. They have. They didn't have Snapchat, although they tried to buy it, and they have a few others.
Well, that's the thing. If it's not bought by Google, it's bought by Microsoft, and they both suck.
Or worse, it gets bought by Amazon.
Have several things tied up in Google.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get.
So
It's going to be Amazon that buys it as part of AWS, which is even scarier because for what happened today on Facebook, as being as big of a deal as it is, if AWS does the same thing, holy shit, the world comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah. Not a fan of your bullshit, guys.
And all that's going to be put in front of normies and anybody who consumes whatever media is that whistleblower good, Facebook bad, and they won't get into the nuances. I mean, again, I'm not saying that Facebook is great, even though I will say that it is one of the last beacons.
It's one of the group. Yeah.
Where you can still get information across. Now, it may only go to those who are like-minded, but at least it's still getting out there. What they're going to end up doing is making it so that it can't get out there at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that should terrify everybody. You don't have to be a fan of Facebook to recognize that maybe Facebook needs a little bit of defense here. Despite them being evil, horrible, manipulating douchebags.
Yeah.
They're...
do you guys remember back when Google actually made the claim that they were going to do no evil? And then they changed that?
Yep. Quietly just removed it.
Yeah, like, just kidding. We're going to do evil now. We're going to change our corporate motto.
I'm surprised they didn't replace it with do evil.
Yeah.
Just drop the no.
Yeah.
Or what was it? It was going to be, what was it originally? Don't be evil? And they just dropped the don't. Yeah, and they just dropped the don't. Yeah, be evil. So that's my rant, my take on it. But then again, I see things, being the fence-sitting centrist that I am, I see things from a very different perspective than most. You're only going to be fed one angle or another on this, and it's neither of the two in reality.
Benevolent authoritarianism in the tone of Tim Pool. He argued against benevolent dictatorism or benevolent authoritarianism, which is the right thing to do. He just did it very poorly. He gave the example, and I hate when people give sloppy examples that don't make sense. Like, there's a thing on TikTok where they say, "Are you a top or a bottom?" Like, I'm a pancake. I ain't done until I've been flipped over on both sides. It's like, yeah, but that's still on top of the pan. So that's just going from cowgirl to reverse cowgirl. It's completely different from what you're talking about. Unless you want to flip over the pan to put it on top of the pancake. And you're still not getting anything done. But in this case, Tim Pool made the argument that if there's 100 people and they're stuck at a river and there's a forest fire behind them, and guy says, don't get in the water, there's piranhas. And you throw him into the water and he gets eaten by piranhas, that's authoritarianism. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, but are there piranhas? Is he right? Because that's also semi-important.
Right.
Like, can you give an example of going into the water yourself because you think you're right, then proving that you're right? Even if it's full of alligators, if 100 people run into the water to save themselves, there will be survivors that come out the other side.
Well, that's just it. You're saving yourself from a known devastation behind you. Yeah, the way forward may be fraught with peril, but you must go forward.
Yeah, that's everyday life. That's why I carry a gun. There's a normalcy bias in this country that because something bad didn't happen yesterday, nothing bad will happen today. I also carry other things other than a gun. I carry a tourniquet. I carry a flashlight because you know what? Half the day, not light out. Not less than half the day, but still. I have night sights on my guns for that same reason. But it's such a bad example of what it is. Do you save somebody who refuses to be saved because they think a certain way and it's wrong? Now, to not know the facts and still do it, like to throw somebody into the water claiming there's piranhas in the water, and you throw them in and they get eaten by piranhas. That's authoritarianism. Leading by example and going through it yourself, very different story. Like, does anyone think Joe Biden got the shot on camera that last week?
You know what?
He got his booster.
Joe Biden being Joe Biden might have.
I cannot imagine they would risk it because Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Like, there was that nurse that fell flat on her face from getting the shot and then doing the interview, and she passed out. It was a fake White House. Well, I mean, they were in the real White House, but it was a fake Oval Office.
They weren't in the White House. They were across the street in the administration building. If you look at C-SPAN actually labeled it correctly. They are in an auditorium in whatever the administrative building is across the street.
C-SPAN, it wasn't the... I just thought it was a White House press conference room.
No,
so they weren't even in the White House.
I'll get back to that in here in a second, but I got to point out that my rant was so good that it put Garrick to sleep.
I was with it.
But it put Garrick to sleep. I knocked Garrick the fuck out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the C-SPAN labeled it correctly. It was they labeled it as such and such building, auditorium, whatever it is. And they were 100% correct and honest in labeling it that. It's the assumption of the viewer that it was a White House. They never said it wasn't. The official presentation never denied what it was. It was relying on the assumption of the viewer to put it in a certain place that it was never in. They don't have. Yeah, they don't have to lie to you to fool you. They just go on what they'll put up a presentation. It'll be a complete facade, much like any Western movie. Wasn't filmed in the Old West. It was filmed on a soundstage with facades, and that's all that this is. It's a facade, and they don't even have to hide it. They just have to let the majority of the people assume that it is what they present it to be. They never have to.
Do not ruin Bonanza for me.
They don't even have to. They don't even have to pretend. They don't. They just have to not mention it. They just present something, and then they don't tell you that. Oh, by the way, this is a soundstage, and these aren't real windows. These are actually LCDs, and blah 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 blah. They don't have to. They don't have to divulge that information. They just run on the assumption of you're going to assume it is what they're presenting. Much like him taking the shot. Because while I think that it's possible that he actually took the booster shot, it's more likely what you say. They're not going to risk actually giving him the actual shot on TV. That's more likely. But again, Joe Biden being Joe Biden, it could have been real.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think he agreed with you. What's that, boy? Timmy's trapped in a well. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either, but it's possible that he did.
Yeah. Oh, chime in again. See if I don't kick you out. Get mouthy, Garrett. No, the chick got the shot. It was a nurse. She got stabbed in the arm. And then she went up there and she was talking about the vaccine procedures and protocols, and she passed out. It's a 1 in a couple hundred people who have that adverse side effect. I just got a vaccine the other day. Not the COVID shot, but it was I got a live virus. I'm going to be touching a baby soon in the not fun way. According to rabbis. But I have. He'll be born at the end of October, and it's like it's their first vaccine they get. You know, when they pop a newborn. And I had an achy arm for 3 days. My arm still hurts, and it was on Tuesday that I got the shot. Also, funny enough, because I got a live virus, I can't get vaccinated for a month. So if they want to push something, they gotta wait. I got a doctor's note. But so I got my Tdap. Anyways, it's a bunch of bullshit shots together, put into one cocktail. So I don't give the baby something that it's not been exposed to before. Something that isn't given by antivirus from the mom to the baby.
Right. So it's an actual inoculation.
You have kids? What the hell is it?
It's Tdap, and it's an actual inoculation. It's an actual inoculation. So you gotta be careful.
It's the actual vaccine.
Well, no, you gotta be.
Change the.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about what they've changed the definition of vaccine to be. Vaccine used to mean inoculation. It no longer means that.
Yeah. Because like the flu shot has always been called the flu shot.
Right. It's never been called a
flu shot.
Right, but it's never been called a vaccination because it doesn't vaccinate you.
It's like pick when you want to get sick. That's what the flu shot is.
Well, it's for the flu shot. Every time I get the flu shot, I get the flu. But if I don't get the flu shot, I may or may not get the flu.
Well, okay.
Good Lord.
All right, I'm gonna kick him. This is. Thank you for the night, Garrick. I can mute him, I guess.
Say goodnight, Garrick.
Wait, can I mute him? Oh, I can mute him. I didn't have to kick him. I just muted him.
Oh, you did mute him? Oh, yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. That way, he can unmute himself should he return to the land of the conscious.
Should he awaken this eve, he can return.
I am still awake, jackass.
No, you're not. I assume that was just a snore that sounded like, "Are you awake?"
Go fuck yourself.
Read the chat. You were not conscious in the technical terms.
Well, I damn near fell asleep in the middle of Sean's Facebook thing, so it was so damn long. Anyway.
No, you did.
No, it did not. I remember everything.
Dude, the snoring had me mute you.
Fuck off, Jay. Look around you.
What? Anybody wanna?
He's going with the Clinton defense. Just deny.
Yeah.
Deny everything.
It was a slurp. It wasn't a snorp. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. It depends on what your definition of the word is. It's like the same definition is for you. What the fucker? This isn't like a vague term like viral. Get the fuck out of here.
Ugh.
Yeah, goddamn Jeffrey Feiger and his manipulation of the no longer could say traffic accident because he's an asshole. Collissive incident, I guess is what they call it. I don't know what they're calling now, but yeah, he's like, by definition, a traffic accident is an accident, and this was labeled an accident. No guilt. You son of a bitch. Don't you have an elderly killer to defend? Is Jeffrey Feiger familiar at all, you guys, or is this just a Michigan thing? Because
that's just a Michigan thing, apparently, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Dr. Kevorkian's lawyer. Dr. Kevorkian, is that a normal thing, or is that just a Michigan thing?
Well, I remember Kevorkian, but I'm old.
Well, you would. Garrick wouldn't, because he was asleep.
Fuck off.
You 4, calm down.
You've been working on a break, god damn it.
You were 4 years old when this happened.
I barely remember Saturday morning cartoons from that time period in my life.
Yeah. When was that? That was probably 20 years ago. So you were 6.
25, because it was in the mid-90s when Kevorkian was a thing.
Was it in the mid-90s?
Yeah, well, Norm was still on Saturday Night Live making jokes on Weekend Update about it, so it had to be in the mid-90s.
Okay, yeah. All right. I didn't think Kevorkian and OJ were that close together, but apparently I'm wrong.
I mean, it had to be, maybe it was the early 90s, because before Norm was doing Weekend Update, it was Dennis Miller, and Dennis Miller made a ton of Kevorkian jokes.
98. Euthanasia of a man named Thomas. He didn't euthanize him. He aided in the euthanization. He ordered the drugs. All right, so first trial was in 96. And
No, shut up.
And he won. Second was in 99 and he lost. So it's 96. Dr. Death. Yeah, that guy was a prominent doctor. And he had a couple $1 million to his name. And he died with less than $100,000.
Shysters get it all?
Well, yeah. Jeffrey Pfeiffer, for one. So, does anybody know did the guy who won the NASCAR, was his name Brandon?
His name was Brandon, yes.
So it was Brandon?
Yes.
So all right, so it's vaguely possible that she thought that, but it doesn't make sense because he'd won already.
No.
So...
Well, right. No, that was her trying to cover. And quite honestly, hire that girl. If you're in broadcasting, hire that girl. She can think on her feet. Mm-hmm. She took an obvious thing and spun it in a somewhat, if misguided, believable manner in real time. That is a smart cookie. Hire her.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when I've heard chants and I'm like, what are they saying? Like, they're just not like, they're not grouped up well enough, I guess. So it's like, some people are saying fuck, some people are saying Joe, and Biden is in there somewhere, but you can't tell because there's not enough unity to the loud voices.
Right.
It's like,
God damn it, Mr. King!
What are they saying? But it was a very clear fuck Joe Biden.
Very clear.
But boy, they did not like Brandon when they're saying "fuck you, Brandon." But God, that's so terrible. Good on you, sister.
Yep.
Way to go there.
I'm like, she's in a bad position, and she did what she could, misguided or not. That's somebody you want working for you.
Yeah.
I just like how it's being done at multiple stadiums now and is not going away.
Yeah, and like I get it, football events, because the football events, but like you start hearing it at hockey events, like what? I mean, yeah, I assume so because it's hockey.
I want to start hearing it at basketball events.
That'll be interesting.
Because that's coming, especially with what the NBA players have been doing.
Yeah. apparently the brawn is nixing the vac, so put less of that. Well, yeah, I'm not surprised that it happened at NASCAR.
No, yeah, you expect that at NASCAR. I'm surprised it wasn't louder and during the entirety of the damn race.
Well, no, I don't expect it at NASCAR. Because it's loud as shit at NASCAR. It's the loudest sport there is. Unless they start dynamite fishing as a sport, I don't think there's anything louder than NASCAR.
Monster trucks.
Mm.
Sunday.
No, dude. First off, it's not a sport, but those trucks are loud, but it's like 3 trucks. This is like 55 engines going 220 miles an hour.
Yeah, but it's only loud when they're close. Then they go around the rest of the track and it tapers off.
It's only allowed 30 seconds of the minute. So.
Well, what are lap times these days? 3 minutes?
I have no idea. But I used to actually say, like, it's not a sport. But I dated a girl who dated a guy who said it was a sport. And I didn't like him. No, I didn't have a problem with him. But he tried to get us to go to stuff. Like, no, I don't care to see how good you are at the thing you do that I don't do. Maybe you can come see me at things I do well. Go fuck yourself. But apparently he would lose like 6-8 pounds on the track per day. Like per event in like water weight.
Yeah, you sweat it out.
Yeah. Like that's a lot.
That's why they only run
right.
those races here in the winter.
So I'm looking at the. Okay, so these are the practice runs, but still, it's still just as valid. It looks like the best average is. Oh, that's speed though.
You should be able to find a lap split anywhere, and
Well, I'm seeing like 198, 197, 194. That's speeds. That's not. It's not time. I don't see lap.
Unless it's metric time, which only the French use.
My friend from Spain sent me a birthday card, and it said 28/10/21, and I'm like, no, it's not in October, or no, 9. It was 28/9/21. I was like, no, it's there's no 28th month.
Right.
You're mistaken.
I get why they do it, and it does make more sense, but it's so foreign that it hurts.
How does it make more sense?
Well, because you go day, month, then year, which would make sense because it's progressively larger. Day, month, year. It makes more sense. But we're so used to saying month, day, year. I mean, if you wanted to be more correct, you would go the other way and say it's 2021, October 4th.
Okay, I guess, yeah. If somebody asked me, like, what day is it, I'd be like, Monday. Like, what date is it? The 4th.
But I will
of October 2021.
But I will die on the hill of giving weather temperatures in Celsius needs to die.
Oh, come on. Out of 100, it's such a smarter move.
In science, it is. But if you're talking about weather, there's a huge difference between 105 degrees and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a substantive difference. I know. I live through it every damn year. And that description does not translate when you say it's, 58? It's not even 58. Well, it might be. I don't know what it is in Celsius. But there's only 1 degree change in those 5 degrees in Fahrenheit in Celsius. And it doesn't give you the information you need to know that it's goddamn hot.
Yeah. There is 70 coat weather, 75 not coat weather.
Right. which is
So
probably the same degree in Celsius.
It is. Well, no, it's 2 different degrees. It's something like 2.1 degrees. No, it's probably 1.9 degrees. 34 to 212 in Fahrenheit is 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. So yeah.
And I mean, I'll even agree that Fahrenheit is a screwy way to measure temperature. It is. It's convoluted as hell. But it makes a hell of a lot more sense when you're describing weather than Celsius does.
I like Kelvin.
I would be more comfortable with Kelvin.
Yeah.
At least it gives you the whole range.
Yeah.
Okay, according to this stat, on average, it takes about 45 seconds to make a lap at Daytona.
That's it?
Oh. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
Daytona's just a circle.
Well, it's the super speedway, so it's one of the bigger ones.
It's just a circle. It's just a big circle.
It big.
They're making a left turn. They're making another left turn. Maynard, I agree with your son. My brother was in jazz class, which was a dance class, and there was a lot of girls in his class. So, drama club does have the freaky chicks, but they also have the annoying chicks and the annoying dudes.
Yep. And you don't want your son to be that dude.
Yeah. We were sitting on my aunt's front porch, and my nephew's running around, and he's like, they get little Hi-C coolers or whatever the fuck they're called nowadays. No, it's Ecto coolers is what I was thinking. If Hi-C is still a thing. And he goes to his friend. He goes, "You want to do cheers?" I'm like, "Your son is so gay." And he goes, "Shut up." And he goes, "Cheer!" And he holds out his glass or his little box. And his buddy bumps his box. He goes, "My son's not gay." And he goes, "Let's dance." I was like, "You were saying?" He goes, "No, my kid's gay." And then he came out to us and we're like, "Charlie, we've known you your whole life." "Yeah, we knew." Not surprising at all. I don't know how anybody would be surprised when their kid comes out as gay. Just don't know how that happens. Unless they're the fake gays for attention. Because every girl in my high school who came out as lesbian had to get moved to the other school because they ended up pregnant. I got so many alerts going off on my phone for freaking games I'm playing. I got 11 games on my phone, and a bunch of them are stupid. Some of them are fun. Sugar Blast, Toon Blast, Farm Blast. Those are basically fun. Phase 10, Gun Simulator is stupid. Pooking Billiard City is mildly fun. I'm not sure of this Galaxy Invader. But I got Zombie Hunter and Dead Target, Lollipop, and Cube Blast Adventure.
Are we out of things to talk about?
Yeah, we got about 20 minutes left. What do you got?
Idiocracy.
You want to tell us about your dream? Josh and I were talking about Maya Rudolph earlier.
Who?
Oh, yeah.
Maya Rudolph?
No. Who and you were talking about, Maya Rudolph?
Oh, it wasn't me and Josh? It was me and you?
Yes.
What were Josh and I talking about then?
I have no idea. Josh hasn't been here all night.
Oh, no. He called me earlier, and we were talking about... we're talking about Ninja Turtles because they're babysitting a three-legged turtle for Kirsten's brother. And we were talking about Venus de Milo, the female turtle. So we were talking about Milo. All right, Idiocracy, go.
What the fuck? It is not a movie. Please, somebody explain to me how this is an awesome movie, because I missed it.
You missed it then, and I cannot explain it to you. It would take far too much time.
Okay.
You understand Brando is what plants crave, though, right?
I got that. Yes.
So, do you understand the premise of the movie? Explain the premise to me.
Average Joe, which is actually kind of funny. So the problem is, I did not laugh after he got in the pot. Like, everything that happens in the future was not funny. It was too fucking retarded. Like, it was too stupid. Like Robert Downey Jr. said, you never go full retard. This movie went full retard.
Explain the premise of the movie to me.
So this guy that's an average Joe goes to the future. Turns out he's the smartest person in the future, which is not saying much. And he is elected to fix people's problems once they figure out he is the smartest person.
Okay. I mean, all right. So the idea behind it is that there's the smart people and there's the dumb people, and the smart people look at their wallets and say, "We just can't afford to have another kid."
Yeah, I laughed at that because of how fucking true that is.
Yeah, and like dumb people on government assistance had 57 kids, 11 kids. That's how many kids they had.
I'm like.
And eventually they overtook them. Now, who was it? Not Owen Wilson. Luke Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Wilson is the average person. The George Carlin average person. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half the country's dumber than them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's right there in the middle. And everybody in the future is below that. So yeah, like the doctor's appointment, I didn't find the doctor's appointment funny at all.
No, me neither.
But I loved everything about Terry Crews.
Yeah, okay. So on his website, I gave it a 2 wiki rating. The only reason it did not get a 1 was because the production was pretty good, the editing was pretty good, the cast was pretty good. That's about it. The writing was shit. Up to the point that he left the past, or, his quote-unquote present, to go to the future.
You have the money.
Dude, the Army lieutenant, or whoever he was, the guy giving the presentation that was getting down with the pimp and the Ebonics, was fucking hilarious. But that was probably the last funny thing I saw.
Did you watch it on YouTube for free?
No. I watched it on Amazon.
Was it free?
No. I paid to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Like, I love Justin Long, but Justin Long as a doctor just really didn't do it for me.
So, how do I put this? It violated too many rules. And the reason I say that is, when you watch Blazing Saddles, you realize it's an absurd movie. It is supposed to violate the rules. When the cowboy is riding his horse through the desert and he comes across the orchestra playing the music for the movie, that's absurd.
Yeah.
This movie started out like it was not supposed to go that far. But
I like how you go with that instead of the bar fight that ended up breaking into another soundstage.
Yeah, well, you realize that it's a satire about Hollywood in general. But this movie, I don't even know what it really was.
It was a satire on the direction that we were headed, because it is observable that people today, on average, are dumber than people were, on average, 2 or 3 generations ago.
In the 1950s, your brand new car, in the manual, it gave instructions on how to time it. Now there's 16 pages on how the windows work.
Well, I think a consequence of that is that it's not mechanical. Now it's electrical. It's relays and it's programming, and not everybody knows how to code.
I'm saying, I was in a car 2 weeks ago. I had my car was in the shop, and I had to rent a car, and my passenger side window had all the way up or all the way down. Like, it had two settings. Like, I pressed the button, I got up or down. It took me like a day and a half to press the button twice to get it to stop. But you press it, it goes down. You press it, it goes up. Those are your options. But you press it twice, and it stops.
You can show a kid a window handle from a manual window. You can show almost any kid today that part of a car and say, this is a part of a car. What does it do? They will not be able to answer the question.
Yeah.
Well, no, but then a big reason for that, rather, is because kids will learn by observing. So once they see you roll down the window manually, they'll realize what it is, obviously. But if they've never seen it before, then they can just plead ignorance, which I'm okay with. It's understandable if you've never seen it used before.
I am inclined to agree with that. But they would not be able to intuit what it is for. Whereas anybody in the past would have been able to intuit what that function is.
I rolled down my window, stuck my hand out and did the roll down your window sign, and they rolled down their window to ask me what I was doing.
Okay,
well, they were too young to understand the roll down the window.
Yeah. So here's a great example. Look at any piece of industrial equipment today, like an excavator or a backhoe or something like that, and look at the one from about 50 years ago. Nowadays, it's usually just two joysticks with a bunch of buttons. Back then, you had about 10 levers, and each one controlled the hydraulic function. Yeah. I drive one of the old ones because my grandfather showed me how to drive a lot of them because he had them. I know how to drive an old motor grader. I know how to drive old tractors. I know the shifting pattern for an old 4020 tractor, which is not a typical shifting pattern at all. The only reason I know this is because I was taught how to use it. Kids nowadays are not taught these things. They don't know these things. They're
not buying manual transmissions. They're not buying motorcycles.
Right.
They're buying mopeds and automatics because it's too complicated for them. My nephew, whose birthday is...
It's not that it's too complicated. It's too convenient to pass up.
No, my nephew, when he turned 16, I was like, you excited? You going to get your license this year? Because I when I call my nephew, I pretend he's like 3 years younger than he is. It's like, it's the Big 12 this year. It's like, I'm 16. I was like, 13. It's like, I'm 16. Like, this isn't how you barter. But so I was like, you gonna drive this year? No. Called him at 17. I'm like, did you get your license? Still no. He's got a car. The family chipped in and bought him a car. And he's still not driving it. And he just turned 18 last year. And he finally got his license.
No, but listen, if you are given the option, if you're a kid from today, a 16-year-old, and somebody offers you have a choice between two for free, both the same vehicle with one exception. One's a standard, one's an automatic. Which one would you pick if you were a 16-year-old today?
They all take the
I
automatic.
was given a manual car. I learned manual.
I know that. How many cars today are manual transmission? They don't make them. Hardly. You have to order them usually.
That's true. But you know what?
Listen, mine's a standard transmission because I specifically asked for it, and they found one that was put together already more or less the way I wanted it.
Well, I live on a goddamn mountaintop. I will gladly take an automatic.
Right. No, there's reasons to take automatics, but if you want a lower insurance rate, take a manual because it won't get stolen.
There's 2 days in the winter where I could go with 4-wheel drive. So yeah, I'm gonna take the 363 days vehicle. But they don't have the same anything anymore. Like, you are what, late 20s, early to mid 20s,
Early 30s.
early 30s. God,
I'm 32.
Far too long. You are at the cusp. You might have even missed it. Calling your first girlfriend and having to dial her home phone number to get a parent before you can talk to them. And that's
I was right at the precipice of that change.
Yeah, and that's if you haven't asked her out, and you're going to ask her out, having to get through a family member to get to them, and a parental figure at that. I know kids now who don't even make their own doctor's appointments. Just talking to a random stranger's too much for them. The entire state of Hawaii has no manual transmission that it shows. Yeah. Fair enough. I just got an update on the Brian Lowry search. Sister doesn't know if parents were involved. Yeah, they probably were. You know if your parents are enablers or not.
Well, and what's the likelihood of him just being a corpse somewhere at this point?
It's a possibility, especially if he doesn't want to turn himself in. Florida is not exactly... It's the closest we have to... Like, Florida, part of Texas, part of Arizona, closest we have to Australia. And then, Salt Lake Flats, which is also inhabitable to human life. Point is, kids are dumb.
Hey, so did y'all listen to the episode of You Are Here with Alex Jones?
No, missed it completely.
Oh, you need to get it, because he goes on a great rant where he gets baptized by Fauci.
I'll have to pull it up on Rumble.
I don't know if it's on Rumble, but yeah.
It is. I saw the a little bit of the Alex Jones on.
Sally, you'll have to explain to me the heel toe technique.
Slightly offensive, and it was just stupid. I didn't care for it. I don't even like Elijah Schaefer. I'm just bored at work, and then I also don't like Sydney Watson either. So I don't know why. I just like Savannah. It's been like nearly 20 years since I've driven a stick, and about 20 years since I've driven a motorcycle.
I never learned how to ride a motorcycle.
One down, 5 up. You're fine. You'll get there eventually.
Right. Well, it was one of those things. My dad never rode motorcycles. My mom hated them. I thought they were death machines. She's not entirely wrong. I just never learned how to. I never learned how to ride one, and I don't care. I mean, whatever. But what was I going to say? Kids have a problem being able to figure shit out these days because everything's so automated. Like, they have no ability to think through, like, well, how can I make this work? Like, if you put me in the pilot seat of a cat, I don't know how any of that shit works, but I would know enough how to figure it out, and then be able to use it after a while.
Well, that's where I was going to go with my grandpa and him teaching me how everything works. The way you learn how to use things is to pull each lever and see what it does, and then you go from there. And pray to God you don't do anything when you pull it.
Right, exactly. But my uncle
got a skid steer, and I had to sit down, and I couldn't turn it on for a second. I had to think about it. It was like, oh wait, parking brake, because they have those. It's a safety feature now. So I clicked it, turned it on, cranked right up, turned it off, and got to work. Everything else I could figure out pretty easy. And it's those little tricks you have to kind of learn nowadays. It's like the master switch on some equipment. Kids will not know what that is or where it is. I do, for the most part.
Yeah. I lived in Michigan, so we didn't have hills.
Right. I say the last time we have hills here, but I had a stick. First couple of cars of mine were sticks. We don't have a whole lot of hills, and we certainly don't have ice. So I would probably fail miserably at driving a stick in the ice. But outside of that, you figure it out.
That is kind of the one thing that annoys me about my new truck is that even though it's still a manual transmission, they still manage to put like traction control features in it. So that way, whenever I slip in the mud, it freaks the fuck out, and I can't get it to stay right on the road.
My grandma bought a brand new Ford Focus in like 2015, something like that. Brand new, like right off the lot, like custom features. And she said specifically, I want none of the extra features, nothing. I want manual windows, manual seats, manual radio, manual driving, manual gas, manual. And it still came with a fucking 4-inch console in it that controlled every goddamn thing in that car. The only thing that wasn't manual was her seat. And it's the only thing that's right in that car. Like, she went from a flip phone because they stopped making them in like 2013. And then she's got like an actual smartphone now. And now she's back on a flip phone because they started making them again.
You should tell the flip smartphone that the Razr makes or Motorola makes.
No. She doesn't want any of that stuff. You do not text my grandma. But funny enough, I got my first cell phone, and my first voicemail's from my grandma. And it's, Jason, if you're there, pick up. It's your grandma. So I tried to explain to her.
We don't hear it like it used to be.
Yeah. So, and then she got her smartphone, and like we set it up for her, and then she's like, "You're not answering." I was like, "That's because you're calling my email. How the hell did you do this? This shouldn't even be a thing.
This is what you call failing upwards."
Yeah, like, I don't know how this happened, but you tried to call my email. There shouldn't even be the ability to put an @ sign while you're dialing. But, it's beyond her. My grandpa loved technology. Like, he had, like, useless shit. Like, my grandpa would never use it, but he had an overhead projector, a opaque projector. He started on the first generation of computers. Like we were fucking around with PDocs Run and DOS trees, long before we ever got to Windows 95. He loved any sort of technology. I'm like, Grandpa, an opaque projector is not really technology.
I have a microfiche reader in my garage.
So did my grandpa. You know how much microfiche he had? None.
I have none. I have the reader, but I have no microfiche. I don't even know if microfiche is even a thing that exists anymore.
What now?
What? You don't know what microfiche is?
I'm sure if you explain it to me, it'll jog my memory.
Okay, microfiche is kind of like microfilm, but a little bit bigger. They would come on basically index card-sized sheets of cellophane. I think it was cellophane. But what it was hyper miniaturized pictures of magazines and newspapers and sometimes other books and everything that they would miniaturize and put onto these celluloid films. And in order to read it, you had to run it in as what is glorified an overhead projector and a microscope together, and you would have to search documents in microfiche.
Basically, like an Etch-a-Sketch.
So that's what you see sometimes in the movies when they're looking at the screen. Yeah. It's a little piece of plastic they're scanning through.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
It's a photograph of a newspaper, basically, laid out.
Right. It just makes it compact, and therefore you can keep millions where you could otherwise keep maybe 10.
Yeah. But you got to use it like an Etch-a-Sketch, like down and to the left. You twist knobs.
Gotcha. Like to
twist on a macro level, and it affects it on a micro level. You'll be twisting that knob for hours just to read a whole sentence. No, it's not that bad. But to scan a whole paper, it's a lot of twisting. Yeah, he loved technology. My grandma, not so much. But he was a hoarder too, so that kind of. He had a motorcycle that had a beautiful painting of Dolly Parton on it, and it had "You must be the size to ride this ride." And my grandma didn't care for that much either. What are we doing now?
No idea.
Fucking kids. Actually, I got mocked in school for that. Like, my Air Force, my RTC, the colonel of my RTC class, liked to bring up like old technologies and stuff. And I'd be like, my grandpa has one of those. I can bring it in if you want. And I ended up bringing in an opaque projector, but it just so happened that. He's like, you guys ever seen an opaque projector? And this kid goes, my grandpa's got one. And I was like, my grandpa's got one. And a couple assholes in the back laughed. And we talked about it, and I brought the fucking thing in. I was like, yeah, I got made fun of in school because he said you have one of like all these things, and they didn't believe me. So he fucking brought in his opaque projector, which is a series of mirrors that get lighter, and a prism. It's actually pretty cool. Unlike a transparent projector, which your math teacher used in 5th grade, because you had to draw circles and shit.
Yep. Back before whiteboards or anything electronic, it was just a light and a mirror.
Mm-hmm. Which was funny because our math teacher was also the shop teacher, so whenever we'd see his hand and his half missing digit, it was usually pretty funny.
I think that's a prereq to be a middle school or high school shop teachers. You have to be missing limbs.
Well, our high school principal was a Vietnam vet, and he was ordnance detection. and he had like 3 fingers between both his hands. And his joke was that he taught shop class. And he put up his fingers, and he'd go like he'd just move his hand, pull up a finger, move his hand, and then he'd look at all his hands open, and then he'd put down the ones he had left. He goes 7 years, which the joke was that he lost a finger every year that he was shop teacher. But yeah, that guy murdered thousands of people, and he was our elementary school principal. So you use your GI Bill when you can't kill anybody anymore. So that beats Charles Krauthammer getting his degree without being able to write a paper. He had a pointer finger and a thumb and a pinky. Nope, 3 total, not 3 on each hand. Give me a one-handed Ninja Turtle. All right, let's get out of here. Move it to the off hours. I got some spaghettis to get to.
Yeah, I need to make some food too. I'm getting kind of hungry. Okay, say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation.